Have you ever met someone who seems unshakable, no matter what life throws at them? That's the essence of a Sigma. These individuals are like quiet storms, calm on the surface, but filled with unrelenting power beneath. If you've ever thought about testing their limits or trying to tear them down, you're in for a rude awakening. Trying to break a Sigma doesn't just fail, it backfires in ways you'd never expect. In this video, we'll dive into the reasons why Sigmas are nearly impossible to break and why every attempt to do so only makes them stronger. From their unyielding resilience to their unmatched ability to turn challenges into fuel, you'll quickly see why messing with a Sigma is always a losing game. Let's get into it. 1. Sigmas learn more about you than you do about them. When someone tries to break a Sigma, they unknowingly sign themselves up for a game they're destined to lose. Sigmas are naturally observant and highly analytical. While others might act impulsively or wear their emotions on their sleeves, Sigmas operate differently. They remain calm and silent, letting their aggressors reveal more than they realize. Here's the thing about trying to crack the Sigma code. It doesn't work because Sigmas don't play the same game as everyone else. They're like a chess master observing the moves of a novice. Every insult, every manipulative attempt, and every power play becomes a clue for the Sigma to decode the aggressor's tactics, intentions, and even hidden fears. It's not just about defense. Sigmas use this information to stay one step ahead. They're always calculating, not out of malice, but as a way to protect their inner peace. What makes it even more frustrating for the aggressor is that Sigmas rarely react in predictable ways. While the average person might lash out, defend themselves, or crumble under pressure, Sigmas stay grounded. They absorb the situation like a sponge, but release nothing in return. This lack of reaction often forces the aggressor to push harder, unintentionally revealing more about themselves. By the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. The Sigma has already mapped out their weaknesses and motives. Sigmas are masters of subtlety. They don't confront their aggressors directly, unless absolutely necessary. Instead, they allow the situation to play out, gathering information and positioning themselves strategically. They understand that power isn't always about being the loudest or the most aggressive. Sometimes it's about being the most informed. And Sigmas, they're always informed. And the best part, Sigmas don't need to act on this information. Often they'll simply walk away, armed with a deeper understanding of the person who tried to harm them. This ability to outthink and outlast is what makes any attempt to break a Sigma not only futile but counterproductive. The aggressor ends up exposed, vulnerable, and often questioning their own actions while the Sigma remains intact and unshaken. It's like trying to fight a shadow. You expend all your energy while the Sigma effortlessly slips out of reach. 2. Their detached nature disarms manipulation. One of the most underrated qualities of a Sigma is their emotional detachment. Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean they don't feel or care. It simply means they've mastered the art of not letting emotions cloud their judgment. When someone tries to manipulate a Sigma, whether through guilt-tripping, emotional blackmail, or psychological games, they're met with a brick wall of indifference. Here's why this works so well. Manipulation relies on an emotional response. Guilt-tripping, for instance, is effective because it preys on empathy and the fear of disappointing others. But with Sigmas, these tactics hit a dead end. They don't respond to guilt because their self-worth isn't tied to external validation. They've built their identity on their own terms, so no amount of emotional tugging can shake their core. Sigmas are incredibly self-aware. They understand their emotions and have spent time mastering them, so when someone tries to play on their feelings, it's like trying to light a fire in a rainstorm. Manipulators who rely on drama and theatrics to gain control find themselves out of their depth with a Sigma. They're met with calm, measured responses that make their attempts seem juvenile and ineffective. They see through the emotional bait and recognize it for what it is, an attempt to control. Instead of engaging, they'll either call it out or more often let it pass without giving it any energy. This lack of engagement leaves manipulators floundering, unsure of how to proceed. Psychological games, forget about it. Sigmas have an uncanny ability to remain cool under pressure. While others might get drawn into drama or petty conflicts, Sigmas stay above the fray. They know that reacting only feeds the manipulator's agenda, so they simply don't. This doesn't mean they're passive, they're just selective about where they direct their energy. What's fascinating is how this emotional detachment often turns the tables. Manipulators who thrive on control suddenly find themselves powerless. Their usual tricks don't work, and instead of breaking the Sigma, they're left feeling frustrated and exposed. Meanwhile, the Sigma walks away unbothered, having once again proven that trying to break them is an exercise in futility. Sigma's emotional detachment is their superpower. It allows them to navigate conflicts and manipulation attempts without losing their cool. They maintain their composure, preserve their mental energy, and often come out of these situations stronger than ever. Trying to manipulate a Sigma is like trying to catch the wind. It's impossible, and you'll only exhaust yourself in the process. 3. They reveal their strength only when pushed. A Sigma rarely shows the full extent of their capabilities. They're not the type to flaunt their talents or engage in unnecessary competitions. For a Sigma, their strength, whether it's intellectual, physical, or emotional, is something they keep in reserve, like a secret weapon. However, when someone tries to break them, it forces the Sigma to unleash their hidden potential, and the results are often astonishing. Think about it. Most people tend to underestimate those who don't openly boast or constantly seek validation. This is where the Sigma's quiet nature works to their advantage. Aggressors often assume that the Sigma is an easy target, mistaking their calm demeanor for weakness. But when the Sigma is cornered or pushed too far, they rise to the occasion with an intensity that leaves everyone stunned. Take intellectual strength, for example. Sigmas are deep thinkers and problem solvers. They're not interested in proving themselves in trivial arguments, but if someone challenges their ideas or underestimates their intelligence, they can dismantle the opposition with facts, logic, and an unmatched ability to think critically. Aggressors who thought they could outsmart a Sigma often find themselves scrambling to keep up, overwhelmed by the Sigma's mental agility. The same goes for physical and emotional strength. Sigmas might not be the loudest or the most physically imposing individuals in the room, but their resilience is unmatched. When someone tries to intimidate or overpower them, the Sigma taps into a well of inner strength that many didn't even know they had. This strength isn't just about brute force. It's about endurance, strategy, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. Emotionally, Sigmas are like a fortress. They've built their resilience over years of self-reflection and growth. When someone tries to break them emotionally, they're met with an unshakable foundation. Sigmas don't just endure, they thrive in adversity. The aggressor, on the other hand, is left bewildered, having underestimated the sheer depth of the Sigma's capabilities. The truth is, Sigmas don't want to fight or prove themselves. They're content to exist in their own space, unbothered by external noise. But when someone forces their hand, the Sigma's strength becomes undeniable. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up when it matters most. And for anyone who tries to break them, this revelation can be both humbling and terrifying. For trying to break them only fuels their motivation. For many people, facing challenges or adversity can be discouraging, but for a Sigma, it's the exact opposite. Trying to break them doesn't weaken their resolve, it strengthens it. In fact, the very act of attempting to bring a Sigma down often backfires spectacularly because it serves as a catalyst for their inner drive and motivation. Sigmas thrive on challenges. They see obstacles as opportunities to grow, learn, and prove to themselves what they're capable of. When someone tries to undermine them, it only confirms to the Sigma that they're on the right path. After all, people don't try to tear down something that isn't significant. This perspective turns attempts at breaking them into fuel for their ambitions. For example, let's say someone tries to discredit a Sigma at work or in their personal life. Instead of reacting with anger or despair, the Sigma channels that energy into self-improvement. They might work harder, learn new skills, or refine their strategies. Over time, this relentless pursuit of growth not only silences their critics, but also propels the Sigma to greater heights than before. The aggressor, meanwhile, is left watching as their attempts to harm the Sigma backfire spectacularly. What's more, Sigmas often use adversity as a mirror to reflect on their own goals and values. They don't waste time dwelling on negativity. Instead, they ask themselves, how can I use this experience to become even better? This mindset transforms every setback into a stepping stone for future success. There's also a psychological element to this. When someone tries to break a Sigma, it's often rooted in jealousy or insecurity. The Sigma's ability to remain unshaken in the face of these attempts only amplifies their aura of confidence and self-assuredness. It's like a feedback loop. The more someone tries to bring them down, the higher the Sigma rises. In the end, trying to break a Sigma is like throwing fuel on a fire. It doesn't extinguish their spirit, it ignites it. Every challenge, every insult, every manipulative attempt only adds to their motivation to succeed. And when they do succeed, because they always do, it's not just a victory for the Sigma, it's a testament to their resilience, proving once again that breaking them is not only impossible, but also counterproductive. 5 Sigmas have nothing to lose. One of the most intimidating aspects of a Sigma is their complete lack of attachment to traditional social structures, material possessions, or the approval of others. Unlike many people who are tethered by fears of rejection, failure, or loss, Sigmas operate with a unique kind of freedom. When someone tries to break a Sigma, they quickly discover just how impossible it is to gain leverage over someone who simply has nothing to lose. Sigmas don't derive their sense of worth from external validation or material success. They aren't chasing after societal approval or desperately clinging to a specific image. This makes them remarkably difficult to manipulate or intimidate. Threats of exclusion, criticism, or even loss of status have little to no effect on them, because those things hold no power over their identity. Their self-esteem is built from within, making them unshakable in the face of attempts to undermine them. This lack of dependency is what sets Sigmas apart. For most people, the fear of losing something, whether it's a job, a relationship, or their reputation, can be a powerful motivator. But for Sigmas, these external factors are secondary to their inner peace and freedom. They don't fear walking away from toxic situations or letting go of things that no longer serve them. This ability to detach not only shields them from harm, but often leaves aggressors bewildered and powerless. Consider how traditional power dynamics work. They're based on control and dependency. A boss might control an employee through the threat of firing, or a manipulator might keep someone in line by playing on their fear of abandonment. But when it comes to Sigmas, these tactics fall flat. They don't cling to jobs, relationships, or social circles that compromise their values or well-being. They'd rather start over than be controlled, and this makes them an incredibly formidable force. Trying to break someone who has nothing to lose is like trying to threaten a storm with rain. It's pointless. Sigma's ability to live without fear of loss not only protects them, but often turns the tables on their aggressors. Instead of feeling victorious, those who try to harm a Sigma often find themselves frustrated, confused, and questioning their own tactics. Meanwhile, the Sigma moves on, unaffected and often stronger than before. Their resilience and independence make them untouchable, proving once again that trying to break a Sigma is an exercise in futility. 6. Sigmas always have a long-term plan. While many people are focused on immediate gratification or short-term wins, Sigmas are operating on an entirely different level. They're strategic thinkers who prioritize long-term goals over temporary victories. When someone tries to break a Sigma, they often mistake their quiet patience for passivity. What they don't realize is that the Sigma is already several steps ahead, working behind the scenes to turn the tables. Sigmas understand that true success isn't about reacting impulsively or getting caught up in petty battles. Instead, they play the long game, using their patience and foresight to outmaneuver their aggressors. They know that rushing into conflict often leads to mistakes, so they take their time observing, analyzing, and planning their next move. This calm, methodical approach often leaves their opponents confused and frustrated, unable to predict what the Sigma will do next. This long-term perspective is one of the reasons Sigmas are so difficult to break. While others might crumble under pressure or react emotionally, Sigmas remain focused on their end goal. They don't let temporary setbacks or conflicts derail them. Instead, they view these challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Every attempt to undermine them becomes fuel for their resilience and determination. By the time their aggressors realize what's happening, it's often too late. The Sigma has already turned the situation to their advantage, leaving their opponents wondering how they lost control. It's not about revenge or getting even. For Sigmas, it's about staying true to their values and protecting their inner peace. They don't waste energy on unnecessary conflicts, but are more than capable of defending themselves when the need arises. Sigma's ability to think ahead and remain calm under pressure makes them a force to be reckoned with. They're not interested in short-lived victories or superficial gains. Instead, they focus on building a life that aligns with their values and goals. This long-term mindset not only protects them from harm, but often leaves those who try to break them feeling defeated and powerless. Trying to outsmart a Sigma is like trying to outmaneuver time itself. It's a losing battle. 7. Their boundaries are impenetrable. Sigmas are defined by the strength of their internal boundaries. They don't allow others to dictate their values, behaviors, or emotions. When someone attempts to manipulate, gaslight, or wear them down, they hit a wall of resilience that's unyielding. This is because Sigmas know exactly who they are and what they stand for, and they refuse to compromise on their principles. Boundaries are not just rules for Sigmas, they're an integral part of their identity. These boundaries aren't set out of fear or arrogance, but rather as a way to maintain their sense of self in a chaotic world. When someone crosses a line, the Sigma doesn't explode with anger or dissolve into tears. Instead, they calmly and firmly enforce their limits. This unwavering stance often takes aggressors by surprise. Gaslighting, for example, is a tactic that thrives on confusion and doubt. But Sigmas are so self-assured that attempts to make them question their reality fall flat. They trust their instincts and their perception of events, so no amount of manipulation can convince them otherwise. When someone tries to twist the truth, the Sigma simply steps back, refusing to engage in a battle of wits with someone they've already deemed untrustworthy. Similarly, emotional exhaustion tactics fail spectacularly against Sigmas. Manipulators who rely on wearing down their targets with constant drama, demands, or negativity find that Sigmas are unshakable. They've mastered the art of conserving their energy and know when to walk away to protect their peace. This ability to disengage is infuriating for aggressors, who often rely on their victims' emotional investment to gain control. Sigmas also set clear consequences for those who disrespect their boundaries. This doesn't mean they're vengeful or harsh, it simply means they're not afraid to cut ties or distance themselves when necessary. They understand that not everyone deserves access to their time, energy, or emotions, and they're unapologetic about prioritizing their well-being. This clarity of purpose and unyielding commitment to self-respect is what makes their boundaries impenetrable. For those who try to push past these boundaries, the experience can be draining and demoralizing. Aggressors often exhaust themselves trying to find cracks that don't exist, while the Sigma remains composed and untouched. In the end, the Sigma's boundaries act as both a shield and a filter, allowing them to navigate life on their terms while keeping toxic influences at bay. 8. They never forget or forgive manipulation. Sigmas are not the type to hold grudges in the traditional sense, but they have an incredible memory for those who have wronged them. They don't obsess over the past or let resentment fester, but they also don't forget. When someone tries to manipulate or harm them, the Sigma takes note and files it away as a lesson learned. This mental record isn't about revenge, it's about ensuring their future safety and well-being. Unlike others who might forgive and forget in the name of moving on, Sigmas believe in forgiving themselves for trusting the wrong person, but not in excusing the manipulator's actions. They understand that allowing someone back into their life without accountability is a recipe for repeated harm. As a result, Sigmas are incredibly cautious about giving second chances. They may remain cordial or professional if circumstances require it, but they never fully trust someone who has shown their true colors. This mindset makes Sigmas nearly impossible to deceive twice. When someone tries to manipulate them again, they're met with a wall of resistance and an unshakable resolve. The Sigma has already learned the person's patterns, tactics, and motivations, making them immune to further attempts. This ability to learn and adapt is what sets Sigmas apart from those who fall into the same traps repeatedly. Sigmas' actions often feel like poetic justice. By removing themselves from the manipulator's sphere of influence, they deny them the power they crave. Manipulators thrive on control, and when a Sigma refuses to play their game, it leaves them frustrated and powerless. Over time, this inability to regain control often leads manipulators to expose their own flaws, further solidifying the Sigma's decision to keep their distance. For Sigmas, the ultimate victory lies in their ability to move forward without carrying the weight of anger or bitterness. They use their experiences as tools for growth and protection, ensuring that they're never caught off guard again. In doing so, they turn every attempt to break them into a lesson that only makes them stronger. Trying to manipulate a Sigma is not just a losing game, it's a surefire way to lose access to someone who values their peace above all else. If you found this video insightful, make sure to subscribe for more content on the Sigma mindset and beyond. Drop a like if you enjoyed it and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay sharp, stay strong, and keep growing.